Hey guys, Carl from Purple Misplaced. Today I'm taking a look at Jisogi, Anime Studio Tycoon, from designer Rodrigo Esper and his own publishing company, Esper Games Studio. This is a sort of economically driven worker placement game in which you're sort of running an anime studio that's operating under what's called Jisogi, or Jitensha Sogyo, which basically as a bicycle, Jitensha means bicycle, you need to continuously keep pedaling to keep the bicycle moving, and if you stop pedaling, the bicycle is going to sort of fall over and fall apart. In this case, their operations are such that they need to continue working and earning money to pay off old debts and old expenses from previous work. So in this game, you're starting with a very small sort of anime studio that has very little money and quite a bit of debt, with a bunch of employees who are quite literally dead inside. And you're trying to grow out your studio, training and sort of growing, hiring new employees that are energetic and not so much dead inside, building out bigger and bigger anime productions with merchandising deals, hoping to earn reputation and income along the way, growing bigger and bigger while dealing again with this debt and expense problem from previous projects. No disclaimer needed on this one, as I did back this myself when it was on Kickstarter. With all of that said, let's head down to the table to see how the solo mode on this one plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. Before we get started, I do just want to point out that I am zoomed out a little bit more than I normally might be, because I do want to try and get everything onto one screen. I couldn't think of a smart way to have things on two screens that wouldn't involve me constantly bouncing back and forth. It also means I'm going to be a little bit creative about how things goes out onto the table, but you'll see how all of that works in just a minute. I'm also going to sort of set things up in an odd order to make sure that I put things in the places I want them to fit so that they fit on screen. So to set up a solo game of Jisogi, we're actually going to start first by choosing which solo game we're going to be playing. And I say that because you will see on these cards there are a variety of different solo variants or solo challenges. These first two, learning the game and low pressure, are kind of like tutorials, so we're going to jump to solo variant 3, which is high pressure. There are a bunch more all the way up to variant 8, but those are going to give all kinds of different restrictions and different kinds of things that sort of throw challenges at you. And I kind of want to just show you the core game, and high pressure is sort of the slightly higher difficulty version. See, there's a low pressure here. The slightly higher difficulty version of sort of the core standard game. So I want to show that to you. And the reason I'm saying that is because some of the setup that we're going to be seeing on screen will be based on this. Specifically here, you'll see in a minute, the common pool of staff cards will be 6 instead of 4. But anyway, I will set all of that up, and then if I need to refer back to this to explain something, I will do so. But in order to set up this scenario, the first thing I want to do is take the trend board, sticking that out onto the screen. And we're going to then take these oversized trend cards, giving those a good shuffle, placing those off to the side, and I'm going to sort of move things around as needed to get things fitting on the screen. And we're going to turn over the top 3 cards into those 3 slots. So we've got Ultimate Fighter, Detective Sci-Fi, and Prodigy Pilot. And I'm going to leave a little bit of space over here for a discard pile from those cards. And then on each of those 3 cards, we need to place out a bonus token, which are these 3 acrylic tokens that look like this, placing 1 each on the 3 different trend cards, like that. Next, handy dandy right out of the box are the 3 different script parts, the setting, plot, and twist. These are already stacked in there. They've already been shuffled from a previous game, so those will just get placed right out here. And from those, I am going to turn over the top 2 in each case. So we've got 2 there, 2 there, and 2 there, like that. Next, again, just putting things out in order to fill the screen nicely. I am then going to take the opportunity board, placing that here, and then I will take these opportunity cards, giving them a good shuffle. And I'm going to put 1 in each of these 3 top areas and set the rest of these cards off to the side. I'm going to move them just slightly so I can fit more stuff below them. Whoops, sorry. 1, 2, 3, like that, and this goes over here. Good. Next, I'm going to take the stack of Genki staff cards, Genki being the Japanese word for sort of happy, well-off healthy, energetic kind of feeling, giving those a good shuffle. And then as I showed you before in this solo variant number 3, high pressure, we are going to put out 6 of them as opposed to the normal 4 that would be in a regular game. Also, when playing the solo mode, these should always be arranged in columns of 2. So again, over here, giving myself as much space as possible. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, that's a lot of red. 5, 6, like that. Put those cards off here to the side. And then I'll spread those out just a bit more to give us a little more space. Then the main board will get placed out here in the center. And near the main board, then I need to place out these debt cards. This is not a shuffleable thing because each of these is exactly the same. Those will get placed out, as well as this stack of blue-backed network cards, except that for the solo mode, I need to use these cards with this little sort of person down in the bottom right corner as part of the sort of solo AI system. So I'm going to remove all of the cards that have that symbol on them, give these a shuffle, and this will be our deck of network cards. Just like that. And I will take these as well, give those a good shuffle. And I'm going to stick those right up here at the top. I need to leave a little bit of space for a discard for these cards, but that should work. And again, if I need to move things around, I can do. We're going to take these 4 lock tokens as well, putting those next to this board because they will need to get used in this area over here. Then finally, I need to set up my player area for this game. As you probably expect, I will be playing with the Purple Company Spirits animation. So I need my player board, which I'll place down here. I'm going to place these 2 trackers in the 0 spaces over here of our reputation or sort of points track. Then above that, I need to place my starting staff. Now I mentioned before the Genki staff, the sort of energetic, well-to-do staff. We've got these 4 dead inside staff cards. These will be the 4 cards we're starting with as our sort of starting staff members. Order doesn't really matter, but I will place them out like that. And I may need to move things around to fit in more staff should we decide to expand our grouping. The last thing I need from my player pieces are my sort of action discs here. 1 each of these will get placed on my 4 staff members, and the other 2 will simply get put off to the side for later in case I do recruit more staff. Likewise, the AI, or sort of the automated bot, will need a stack of their own, so they will be using those red tokens for themselves. I will also need then to start the game. Off to the side here, I've got this tray of sort of art tokens, this hype tokens, these sort of merchandising tokens and money. And I will start with 3 money in my player area, as well as 1 debt card to start. And like that, we are all set up for gameplay. And I do apologize again for everything being so squeezed tight on the screen. I may need to slide things around as we play, but I hope that you can sort of see everything, and I'll do my best to show things up close when I need to. And yeah, we'll make it work, but I think this should be fine. So a game of Jisogi, or a solo game of Jisogi, will play out over a series of 4 rounds with a goal that's determined by the mission that we're playing. So I'm going to show you that card again real quickly. Here says, Solo Variant 3 High Pressure. My objective is to score 29 plus points. Now it's funny that it says 29 plus points because 29 is actually the max amount of points that can be scored in the game. Beyond that, all of your points will be converted into money. And money would sort of be the tiebreaker in the case that you're playing a multiplayer game, but I need to basically max out my score track and have no debt cards at the end of the game. Again, it does play out over 4 rounds. And we've got a couple of extra special rules, but I'll explain those special rules as I explain how the game plays. Because the game does also come with a very nice sort of player aid that walks through all of the different main phases. Well, first, the action phase, and then all of the other phases as scoring and so on here. And I'm going to explain that a little bit using that. But basically every round is going to consist of 3 phases. A production phase, which is going to be our sort of main action phase. A release phase, which is where we might release an anime if we have enough sort of script parts and artwork for that anime to be released. And then finally an upkeep phase where we just sort of reset and change things for the next round and also give ourselves any income should we happen to have any. But I'm sort of going to explain the rules of the game as I play through the first round, and that means the first phase of the game is the production phase. And in this solo mode, the AI is actually going to go out and block some of the spaces on the board. So let me go ahead and do that first, and then I'll explain how everything works. So again, going back over those phases more specifically, the first phase is the production phase. And I'm going to use my 4 workers in order to take actions on the board. And each of those workers can only take an action of their color. So this writer can only do research or write. The artist can only outsource or animate. The producer can only do staffing and networking. And the director is a wild, can take any action on the board. In addition, you see this strategize action up here is a black symbol, and that means that anybody can take that action. But what do those actions do, and why are we doing the things we need to do? Well, before I explain all the actions, let me explain the sort of core gameplay loop of this game. Basically, I am using my employees in order to collect script parts to build an anime, to hopefully match the trend of one of these trends, either the upcoming trend, the active trend, or the fading trend, hoping to get popularity based on the anime that I'm creating that will ultimately turn into sort of reputation points, which is our scoring for the final end of the game. And the way that's going to work, let me talk about that first because that'll sort of dictate all of the things that I'm trying to do. When I decide to make an anime, I'm going to look at the different types of sort of genres that could be in there for that anime. And there are 5 different genres. We don't see them all on the screen right now, but red is action, green is fantasy, blue, which we will see later, is sci-fi, purple is sort of slice of life anime genre, and black, which we don't see anywhere yet, but that is horror. So there's going to be a mixture of those different things, and each of these different trends is going to be specifically looking for a different mix of 3 things because each anime will be made of 3 parts, a setting, a plot, and a twist. But in order to create one of those anime, we only need to match at least one of those 3 genres. We do not actually have to meet them all. Except that we also, to create the anime, need to produce art for that anime. And to do that, we're going to be collecting these art tokens here. So the first sort of set to determine how popular anime is the number of those genres we've built into the anime we're actually producing times the number of pieces of art we've managed to create for that anime. That's our sort of starting core score for that anime. Then plus we will score an additional 4 points, or sorry, 4 popularity from these bonus chips. And then you will see that if we start upgrading some of our workers, those workers might have bonuses down here in the bottom corner. For example, this one says for every fantasy genre in the anime that we're producing or releasing on that round, we will get an additional 3 popularity. Or this one, for example, will give me a flat 3 popularity if there is a action genre and 3 popularity if there is a horror genre in that particular anime that we're releasing. On top of that, we might have some abilities down here. I'll show some of these up close that might do some extra things to give us more popularity. And finally, we will potentially be collecting hype throughout this game, and we can always spend those 1-to-1 to increase popularity as well. And then once we've built up the popularity, and let me show you one of the player boards up close. Based on this chart right here, the popularity will dictate how much money we earn from that anime, as well as how much reputation or how many points we score from that anime. So we're trying to do our best to match those genres, hire staff that work with the genres we're producing, while also trying our best to build out anime that match both that staff and that trend that we're trying to hit in order to make the most popular anime possible to ultimately increase our reputation or points as much as possible, as well as money. And the reason that is because at the end of every round, we do have to pay our staff. And for every dead inside staff, we're going to pay 1 money. And for every Genki staff that we have, we're going to pay 2 money. And we always have to pay. And that's what these debt cards are going to be. If at any point we can't afford to pay for something, we can go take a debt card to instantly get 7 money. But at the end of the game, if we still have this card, it's worth -2 reputation. But remember also, specifically for this game that I'm playing right now, the solo variant said have no debt cards. So I can't have these. But if I do, at the end of a round, I can choose to pay back this debt card by spending 8 coins. However, if I don't pay back a debt card at the end of a round, we are going to increase that payback amount by 1 every round. So the longer I take to pay off debt, the more it's going to cost me to do it. But it also means then that I do have more money available to me to take actions and get things done. So now that you have a general idea of how the game is going to play out, although there is one more thing I need to talk about when releasing, but we'll hold on to that for a second, I want to talk more specifically about the actions here on the board. And the actions are fairly straightforward. The blue writer can do research or write. This eyeball symbol is going to be revealing a number of new tiles from the different genres. So in the case of research, I can reveal 3 new tiles, and write, I can reveal 1 new tile. This hand tells me how many then I can take. So I'm going to reveal 3 and take 1 from any of those piles. And here I'm going to reveal 1 and take 2 from any of those piles. But I should point out there's this extra red icon here. And that says that if I use a Genki staff to take that action, I will additionally get to do whatever that is. So in the case of Genki here, I get to take 1 additional script piece when I take either of those actions. The green artist is going to either animate or outsource. Animate simply gets me 1 piece of artwork, 2 if I use a Genki staff. Outsource simply gets me 4 money. Plus, I can get 1 sort of merchandise or merchandising deal kind of thing, token, when I go there if I'm using a Genki worker. And merchandise is going to be interesting because what merchandise does is every time I release an anime, or if I take an action, which I'll show you in just a second, I can move merchandise from here into this track down here. And at the end of every round, we're going to gain income based on how much merchandise or how many merchandise deals we've done. So whatever the rightmost space is that's covered is what we're going to get. So we're going to get a number of money and sort of reputation or points at the end of every round should we have some of these merchandise deals in place. And again, going here simply gets me that merchandise token. It does not put it into a deal. The only way to do that is when I release anime or if I get an action that allows me to release or activate merchandise. One of which will happen in this strategize area, but I will come back to that in just a minute. Because first I want to talk about the producer area down here. Staffing and networking. Staffing is going to cost me 2 money. And then I'm going to either get a new worker, meaning adding an additional worker, and we only have an additional 2 that we could potentially recruit, or we can upgrade a dead inside worker into a new worker. And the reason we're going to choose between those in addition to adding more stuff, when we simply add a worker, we will not get to use that worker until the next round. Although we will get access to the icons down here as soon as we get that worker. But they will not get a chance to do any actions until the following round. However, if we upgrade a worker from a dead inside to a Genki worker, we will immediately get use of that worker, assuming we haven't already used that worker chip that round. And you'll see also here, if you come here with a Genki worker, you will get an additional 3, not an additional, you will get 3 hype tokens. Over here in the networking action is how we're going to start taking some of these networking cards. Not these, although those are the solo AI, the ones down here. And these are going to be sort of game-breaking abilities that give us something special. And they're generally connected to some action. So if you take this action, also get this thing when playing this card, etc. They're going to be one-use cards that give us some kind of boost to our normal abilities. And then again, if you come here with a Genki staff, you get 3 hype. So the last space is this leverage space. Sorry, strategize space, which gets you a leverage. You need to spend 2 money to take one of these 4 leverages. And if you come here with a Genki staff, you get to take one of those networking cards I mentioned before. And each of these leverage spaces can only be used once per round. It will clear off between rounds, but when you take one of these, you need to cover it with the lock token to show it can't be taken again in that same round. This one here in a multiplayer game would get you the first player token. I'm the only player, so that doesn't mean anything in solo, but it still gets me 4 money. This lets me upgrade a dead inside worker to a Genki staff. This one will allow me to activate one of those merchandise tokens. So if I have gotten a merchandise from here or potentially from a card or something else, I could, instead of waiting until I release an anime, come here to take that to activate merchandise, which will be a potential way that I can activate more than one merchandise deal in the same round. This last one here says 6 hype minus the number of dead inside workers. So right now I have 4 dead inside workers. If I come there, I'd only get 2 hype. But as I transfer them over into Genki workers, this will become more and more and more powerful. Now, you'll also notice here is a high demand fee section. Before I talk about that, let's finish setting up for the first round in a solo game. Because every time we start a new production phase, I need to turn over the top card from this deck. In fact, I'm going to turn over several cards from this deck. And the number of cards I turn over is dictated by the high demand token area on that specific solo module. Here it says 3 double tokens. So what that means is for this particular variant, I'm going to turn over 3 of these cards. And it doesn't matter what it says down here. This is only what would happen if I was using this as a networking card in a normal game. Instead, I'm just paying attention to this top section up here, staffing and networking. And because it says double, I have to place out 2 of these onto either staffing or networking, my choice. And I think in this first round, I do want to focus on getting some extra staff, or at least upgrading some staff. So I'm going to drop that there in networking. I'm going to do that again. Whoops, upside down. Write or research. Right now I don't have anything, so I'd like to take more than I'd like to see. So I'm going to cover research. Flipping one more over. Ooh, great, it's spread out a little bit. Animate or outsource. I suspect that I don't publish an anime or release an anime in the first round, although we'll see, it might happen. So I am going to cover the animate slot for now, because getting more money early might be a good thing to do to avoid getting debt. But we'll see. So that's the 3 there, and why that matters is because of the high demand fee. If I want to place my token on a location that already has 1 token, which won't happen in this specific solo variant, but does happen in other variants when that is only a single placement, I have to spend 1 coin. And actually it could happen if I want to go to the same location 2 times. The second time I go there with 1 token there already in the sort of solo / 2-player game, which is what this is sort of representing, I have to spend 1 coin in order to place that there. And once there's at least 2 there, means I'm the 3rd token or more, I need to spend 2 coins. So it doesn't matter how many times. For example, I could go there and spend 2 coins. I could go there again and spend 2 money. I could do it as many times as I want, but I have to pay, again, 1 money if there's 1 token there already, and 2 money if there's at least 2 tokens there already. So that makes some of those actions more difficult or more expensive for me to get to. Nothing is ever completely blocked off in the game, but that is that. The only other thing I need to talk about before I finally do get into gameplay is this stuff over here, the opportunity cards, and these are sort of representing unique opportunities that my anime company has to gain reputation, or in this case, sort of challenge goals that I'm trying to achieve in order to gain reputation. And these can be scored once every round when I release an anime. So if I release an anime and one of these things is true, I will score the number of points on that card plus the number of bonus points in the location where that card currently is. And if one of those is scored, it gets removed, we will fill in with a new card so that the number of cards doesn't change. And at the end of every round, those cards will all move forward one space, filling in with a new card behind. And that's sort of how we know our timer. At the end of the first round, it goes here, second round here, third round here, and at the end of the fourth round, it would go off the board, and that triggers the end of the game. So taking a look at the 3 that we have right now, we've got the shareholder's favorite, says pay back 2 debt cards. That means I have to do that right then and there. If I can pay back 2 debt cards at the same time, I'll get 2 points plus whatever the bonus is. Diverse hire says I have to have 5 different genre icons on the staff cards. And again, that means these icons like here down in the corner. And this one says release 3 or more anime and have 3 or more active merchandising deals, which obviously isn't going to happen until much later in the game. But putting those back. The other thing I do want to show you, and it's not important for the rules, but it will be important for you to understand what I am doing, and that is you need to see the different staff that we have. So these 3 I don't need to show you up close because they are just what they are. The melee weapon expert writer gets me extra stuff for fantasy genre, 3 popularity per fantasy genre in an anime. The weird angle director scores 3 popularity for action and horror. The overly excited director scores 3 popularity for action and sci-fi. And then these 3 producers, this guy here, International Connections, when I take the strategize action, which is that black action that lets me do one of these things, I will take an additional networking card plus 2 money. So basically that means the strategize action is free because I don't have to pay for leverage. That's a really cool card to have. The hard negotiator says, any action, instead of paying, I can gain the same amount of money I would pay for the high demand fee. So that means it makes it easier for me to go to locations, or better for me to go to locations where things already are, because I'm going to be making money instead of paying money, which is awesome. And finally, this social butterfly producer says, when I take the networking action, which is where I get the networking cards, I'm also going to take 1 script piece and 2 hype. That's basically all you need to know. It sounds like a whole lot, but it really isn't that much once we get into things. So let's go ahead and get into things. I've got 4 actions I can take. Again, the writer has to deal with getting these things. The artist has to deal with getting art and or money. The producer has to deal with staffing and networking. And finally, the dead inside director has to do with anything I want them to. And in this first round, I think I really want to work on getting a 5th staff member, and hopefully even so also upgrading another staff. The problem is, well, let's look over here. This is 3 action, this is 2 sci-fi and action, this is sci-fi action and slice of life. This one looks good, except the problem is, I didn't mention this, at the end of every round, the fading trend will go away. It's fading, it's gone. So if I don't do this turn, it won't be there next turn. And I don't think I'm going to rush to get that done. Although I could, except I put them in animate, so I don't think so. All right, then I really want to strategize producer. And I'd love to have an extra purple and black, or red and black bonus or red and blue bonus. Red and blue bonus would be great if I can get some blue out. But either way, it's good for that. Yeah, I want to upgrade to him. But strategizing then doesn't work out. I think I'm going to focus on that for next time. Because what I'm going to do is, no. You know what? Let's just beef up. Yeah, I'm going to come to staffing, spending 2 coins, and I'm actually just going to upgrade this red one. Yeah, so he goes away, and I am going to take that producer, which is still active because I haven't taken the action yet. Good. Then, yeah, I'm not going to be able to, this gets replaced, which, ooh, we got a green guy, a new artist. Says, when I release, I get 3 hype. I should point out this is better than getting 3 popularity because hype can also be spent for other things. I can always spend 4 hype as shown on the board here. 4 hype to get 1 merchandise, 1 hype for 1 coin. So I can always change hype into coins. And again, hype can always become popularity. And they also get bonus for red. So I think I might end up using that. But watch what we're going to do here. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to take any script stuff yet. But I only have 1 money left. Definitely I'm going here to take 4 money. 3, 4. He goes here for sure. Plus 2 money, minus 2 money means I get nothing. I get to choose one of these, which is 4 money, activate a merchandise, but I don't have one. Ah, no, I'm undoing that. Hold on, back up, back up, back up. Back up, back up, back up. Because I'm going to have to take a debt to do this, but it's worth it, I think. If I place him here, I can upgrade green. And then green can outsource and get a merchandise, and then he can go here and get a activation without having done that. Yeah, I got to do that. I'm going to take a debt so that I get 7 money. Because then blue is going to strategize first. Spending 2. Which will upgrade this one. Which is going to turn this green guy into this green guy. Replacing that with a red dealer producer says networking. When I take the networking action, I would get a merchandise. That's pretty cool, but I don't think I need more red right now. Yes. Then he's going to outsource. And now he is Genki, so now I get 4 money and a merchandise. And then the red producer is going to go here. There's already a token there, so I do need to spend 1. But again, because of their ability, that is free. I take 1 leverage, which is going to be activating that merchandise. So now I will get income from that this round. Plus, because this is Genki, I get 1 networking card, and because of their ability, I get another networking card. So I'm going to take, whoop, not from there. 1, 2, let's show you what these do. So this card says, if I spend this when staffing, I can do a senior hire, which says, if I use this action to hire or promote a producer, which is red, I'm going to get a merchandise. This one here, research, says, when I take, no, not research, when I take the research action, the International Creators Convention costs me 2 money, but lets me take 1 additional script, and I get to take the top networking card of the discard pile. So I can reuse something I've had before. Not bad. Just stick those down here and pull those in when I need them. But that is the end of the round because I'm out of workers. So now we would go into the release phase, which you're not going to be seeing me release anything because I didn't even take any script parts. I was just upgrading my people for the next round. So I would release if I wanted to. Then I'm going to move all of the trend cards. So this trend card goes away. These all slide down like that. This flips over. We've now got paranormal, which is triple horror. Then same thing down here with these opportunity cards. Oops. Sliding all of those over 1 more. Drawing a new one of those, the Do It All Studio, that says I should have 5 or more released scripts of different genres. So now I kind of want to diversify if I'm aiming for that. As I would like to hit some of those when I do things. Then, that is the end of the release phase. We move to the upkeep phase. I will get income from here, which is another 3. So I do have 12 money. I know that I need to spend salary of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that only leaves me with 6 money. But I know that these right now cost 8 to pay off. And I need to think about debt before I pay my salary. These are going to cost 8 to pay off. If I don't pay them off right now, they're going to cost 9 to pay off. So realistically, what I'm going to do, and this is kind of silly, but I'm going to spend 9, taking 1 back, to pay off, sorry, that was, yeah, 8, to pay off 1 debt. But now I need to pay my salaries. Before I do that though, this debt card now, you'll see, needs 1 extra to pay back. That's how we're going to keep track of that. And now because I don't have enough to pay my people, I am going to take that debt card back again. But what that did was it prevented that extra 1 from getting placed on it. So I'll take 7 back. 3, 6, 7. And I need to pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for those salaries. My people all come back. Theirs all clear off as well. I'm going to reshuffle this deck. These lock tokens get reset, and I need to refresh the Genki staff. And the way that the Genki staff refreshes changes based on the solo variant you're playing. And in this case, it says during the upkeep phase, I'm going to choose only one of these 3 columns to refresh. I might potentially be interested in this blue one. I don't need the double red. Purple I absolutely want for 2 reasons. One, because it's wild, and one, because I haven't upgraded my purple yet. Also, I missed this, but it didn't matter because I don't have any. If I had any hype, I would need to discard 1 hype from my storage per dead inside staff that I have. But I don't have any hype, so there's nothing I could have done about that. It just means that if I had leftover hype, it would get lost if I had some dead inside staff, which I do still. One more thing that we're going to do in this particular solo variant is that at the end of this upkeep phase, I can spend 2 coins or 2 money to reveal 1 of each of these script parts, which right now doesn't super matter to me. I would like to see more of them, but right now it's not a huge deal, I think. Yeah, but 2 money is not bad to see 3 new script pieces, especially because the only thing I like right now is this red. Yeah, let's do it. All right, but first things first, refreshing this row is going to go away. So refilling those. All right, we've got a new artist. The digital master gets an additional 4 money when outsourcing and does score extra 2 popularity for sci-fi. And we've got the creature designer, who is an artist. This one is really cool. This one is going to, when we're releasing an anime, get an additional piece of artwork for each fantasy script piece that we have. So that means I don't necessarily need to gain animate. Now I am going to do that, pay 2 money to flip over 3 of these. I already have a red here. So I'm going to start by flipping over a setting. We got a blue. I don't mind blue, especially if I get this director. And blue-red is working towards here. So let's see what we can get over this side. Ooh, another blue. That's perfect for this detective. Means I'm going to draw, nothing else is helping for either of those. Let's draw a plot and see what happens. We've got another blue. Okay. So I definitely want to do that. I definitely want to do that. I definitely need some art this time. Beyond that, I don't know. But let's see what happens. Flipping over these cards, the first one is staffing or networking. I still want a staff, I think. Like that. The next one is writer or research. I need to take 3 of those. So I am going to research and hope the other one doesn't pop out. The other is animate or outsource. This time I definitely need to animate, so we're going to do that. Like that. And now we're all ready to go. And we are going to, do I want to upgrade any of that? No. I'm definitely coming here because it gets me a bunch of stuff from that guy. I could upgrade, but I really don't want to upgrade. I want to buy a 5th person for next time, if possible. Coming here, if I upgrade a staff instead of getting a new one, then I could get more hype from this, and I could get hype from that. No, I can't do both. But here only gets me 2 scripts unless I'm upgrading something. Yeah, so I think that's what I'm doing. He's going there. and upgrading blue for free. I don't love that one because I'm not getting green, although I might, because there's lots of green out. Instead of one of these blue, because these blue are only going to score based on the number of artwork I get, and I'm only going to have 2 art, but they get 3 per green. So if I get a green, red, and blue there instead, they'll score the 3 for that. Except that I do want this purple. Yeah, do I want that? Yeah, because I need to get 3 for anime this time, so that's going to happen for sure. And of course, there's a 3 per red instead, which would have been much nicer to have. Oh well. Means I should have done this one first. Yeah, wait a minute. What was I thinking? Why did I do blue first? If I did purple first, then I go here to upgrade the next one. Yeah, that's a mistake. I'm sorry if I'm cheating. That's a mistake. I needed to do purple first. I needed to do purple first. That was stupid. I needed to do purple first because, hold on, slow down. I get 2 more network cards, which are full house. When I animate, I get 3 money. Then if I have a total of 6 staff cards, I get 1 additional art. That's not going to happen, but the 3 money extra could be nice. This one says, when I outsource, there's a theme cafe. I'm going to spend 4 money to get a merchandise and 2 hype. Costs a lot of money, though. I don't know I want to spend so much money this time. Now, the reason I did it that way is so that this guy can come here and will get the bonus hype. Now, I do have a card for staffing, but I have to upgrade or hire a producer, and I don't want to do that. And now, this is slightly cheating because I saw that before instead of that, but realistically, I wanted to take that action in that order because of this bonus, so I apologize for taking back my action, but that's that. So then he does come there, which means I do need to spend 2 to get it done, which is not great because I'm going to need the money later. But that means that I am upgrading my writer to the sports fan who likes action, 3 per action. So now I'm completely upgraded. So if I ever do take this hype, whoops, I did that. If I ever do take this hype now, I'll get full 6 from it, but I do now get 3 hype from that one. Then I'm coming to write, which means I get to look at anything, and I want to, let's say, this is too green. Let's start here. Oh, we got another blue. Great, not really. Okay, then I get to take 2 scripts, but because this is Genki, I get to take 3. So I am going to take post-apocalyptic, sounds more fun than space colony. This plot device that says, I rescued a mysterious kid from an evil organization and now must protect it. And we need blue again. The twist is it was all a virtual simulation. Now, every time I take script pieces, it goes here into my storage. I can only hold 5 of them. But at any point that I want to, I can move from my storage into the production. But I can't take artwork until I've put things into production. So the first thing I put into production allows me to take 1 artwork. If I have 2 things in production, I can take 2 art. And then once I have 3, I can take as many more pieces of art as I need to fill up this track. And I am going to place them all in here because, well, that's what I need to do. Because that's what I need to do to trigger the next thing. And now because of that, I can get artwork. And that means that my last action is the artist is coming here to animate, and I think I have a cool card to use there, yes. It's a shame because I don't have the total staff 6, but I will get an additional 3 money, which is important right now. So I'm going to get $3, and I'm going to animate with a Genki staff, means I get 2 pieces of art. 1, 2 like that. Problem is, I didn't get any merchandise, which means I'm not going to boost up that at all. Sorry, this should have been replaced. Money-driven director, wow. 1 popularity for all genres. But that's that. That is that. They don't have any extra hype, although I will get an additional 3 hype there. So I could potentially change it to a thing during release to get that, to get 6 money more. But let's see what happens on release. Because I need to release, because it is now the release phase. I am going to be releasing detective sci-fi with a post-apocalyptic story about a mysterious child who was rescued from an evil organization and now I must protect it. But the twist of the anime is that it was all a virtual simulation. And of course, all of that was detective sci-fi. Cool. Now, how do I score popularity? I've got blue, blue, red. I've got blue, blue, red. I've got 2 art. So that's 2 times 3 matching genre is a starting 6. Plus 4 is 10. Then for reds, he does 3 per red. They do flat 2 for red. They do flat 3 for red. So I'm starting at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then they get 3 if I have blue. Not per blue, but if I have blue. So that's another 3 on top of that. 19, 20, 21 if I counted correctly, but let's do that again. 1, 2, 3 times 2 is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Now the thresholds here are 20 and 25. I can spend hype to make it go up, but that only then becomes, but wait a minute. They get 3 hype on release, which is what I'm doing right now. So I have 21. I've got plus 6, which would be then 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 if I wanted to get there. But instead, well, let's see. The difference between 20 and 25 is money from 6 to 7 and points from 6 to 8. So I get an additional 2 points and additional 1 money. But if instead I spend this to get merchandise and then use that merchandise deal right now as I release, I will get an additional 3 money instead of an additional 1 money. Plus I still get 1 point. So it's only a difference of 1 point. I need to do that. So I'm trading 4, leaving me with 2 left over to take 1 merchandise. Then because I'm releasing, well, slow down because I need to finish the release. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, and 10 is 21, means 20 gets me 6 money. 3, 6. And it gets me 6 points, so we're up to 6. Remember, we need to hit 29 to win. And then we've got this merchandise deal gets made. And that is the end of my release. So this goes away. Now, normally in a multiplayer game, if I had finished one of these 2 anime, the bonus would go away and the card would stay there. And then other people can still make that anime, but it's going to be worth less points. In the solo game, when we rotate this trend cards, anything that has no bonus on it will also go away. So sometimes this will refresh 2 on the same round if I've released an anime. But otherwise, anyway, at the end of the release phase, which is happening right now, this goes there. Ultimate Fighter and Paranormal slide down. We get a new anime, which is Mecha Clash, which is amazing for me. Action, action, sci-fi again, which is exactly what my guys love to have. Problem is we don't see any action out here, but that's okay. That gets placed back on there. I should check before I do that, as I'm releasing, did I accomplish any of these things? I do not have 5 or more release scripts, pieces of different genres. I have not paid back 2 deck cards. I could try right now, but this is 8 plus 9 is 17. 3, 6, 9, 10. I don't have the ability to do that. Yeah, no. Have 5 different genre icons on staff cards. I don't have that. I only have 2 because 3 of them are red. Have 3 or more anime. I definitely don't have that. So that's that. These rotate. Again. I really got to focus on getting some of these done now moving forward or I'm in trouble. What's this say? Release 2 anime with the same genres. The amount and order of scripts can be different. Oh, cool. So if I do this Mecha Clash with action and sci-fi, I will get that next time. And that's 1 point, but it's 3 bonus. So that's great. That's the end of the release phase. Now we go to upkeep. I get income, which is 6 from my merchandise. And I get 1 more point, like that. Pay debt cards. Again, this one costs 8, this one costs 9, that's 17. I have 3, oops, that should be a 3, not a 10. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16. Plus hype can be money. Yeah, I gotta do that. So I will spend 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, 17 to pay off all my debts, which is silly because now I have to pay my things back, but only one of them is going to come back, which is good. And 3, 6, 7. So I need 2, 4, 6, 8 to pay them, so I do have to use this last hype. I'm emptied, I am in debt, but that now is only an 8, not a 9. And I've got full staff, well, full 4 staff of non-dead inside or Genki. This comes off. These come back. These go away. This reshuffles. Then remembering I can spend 2 to add more here, but I don't have 2 money and I'm not taking another debt just to get that done. Oops, these should have all come off. We can sort of keep these off to the side to remember our stories for later. And I have to refresh here. Now, what do I want to do? I wouldn't mind having another purple guy. I don't think I need these double artists, although extra 4 money for outsourcing would be awesome. But I don't think I need 2 artists. I think I'd rather have an extra purple guy, especially because they can get me lots of popularity for reds, which seems to be sort of what I'm focused on. Although I do kind of want to mix it up for some of these things. But 2 anime with the same genre would be good. And paying off 2 debt cards might still happen. But 3 anime and 3 active things could absolutely happen as well. Yeah, all right. Then let's get rid of this one, simply because I have a card that gets me something if I get this guy. Ooh, we got a community specialist producer that says, during the release phase, gain 4 popularity if releasing against the trend without the 4 token. Now, you'll see. That 4 token will never be away in the solo mode. There is a little symbol up here. Anytime you see this in a solo game, that card gets discarded and a new one gets drawn. So I've got the politician director, which gets me 3 for blue and purple. And we've got another producer, cold-blooded, says during the upkeep phase, I pay 1 less salary per Genki staff. Wow. So this is 2, 4, 6, 8 right now. But if I got them, that would only be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's amazing. I think that might be my 5th member right there. All right, let's see what happens here. Round 3, we've got animate outsource. This is tricky because I kind of want both, but I don't think I can this turn. Is there another way to get a, ooh, yeah, if I hire that guy, I'm gonna get, you don't see it on screen. If I hired that producer, I will get merch. So I don't need the outsource this time, maybe. Next, staffing and networking. I definitely need a staff so I can use that card. Right research. Wow, we keep getting lucky with those sort of being the same every time. I promise you I'm shuffling them. I need 3 script pieces, but I don't know if I can, because that only lets me see 1 more card. But research lets me pay money to get an extra script, and I get to take a networking card back again, which could be, it says off the top of the discard pile. Grr. Whoops, that should not have gone in there. Where did I put that card I spent before? Hold on, we gotta start over. That card does not belong there. Yeah, that's it. Okay, that's fine. This was the card that I spent. So that is the discard pile top. So that means that I could then get that. So if I go here, I get 1, 2, plus I can pay for a 3rd, plus I get that back, which means I get money if I animate. So yeah, let's cover up the writing. And let's start that way exactly. So I want to do this. I'm looking for red. No, because if I do that, I don't have any money. Not yet. Not yet. This happens on staffing. which I still don't have money for either. All right, so we have to go here. Plus 2 money minus 2 money is a wash. I'm going to take this because 6 hype minus that is 6. And remembering hype can also be used as money if necessary. Plus I get 2 more of these cards. Animate says, hit character design. If you have 3 different script genre in production, activate a thing. Not going to be important right now because I'm not gonna. Staffing, celebrity hire. If you use this action to hire or promote either an artist or a writer, get 3 hype. Cool, but not what I need right now. Because then I am going to go here. I do have to spend 2 money, which I will just transfer hype into cash to buy this extra guy over here, the cold-blooded producer, that now I only pay 1 per Genki staff. So now my salary is just 5, which is awesome, since I need to pay my debts down. And then that also means I can use this card so that I just bought a producer. So I do get 1 merch from that as well. Yay. And that gets discarded. Ah! No, 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 not yet. Not yet. Hold on. That will happen in just a second, but not yet. Not yet. Because I need to do this one first so I can get that card back before I play that one. All right, so blue goes first then. Researching. I get to reveal 3 things. I really need to find some red. Let's go here. More blue. Go here. Wow. I really want to find some red. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's try here one more time. Come on, red. Darn it, it's purple. That's bad. That's bad, that's bad, because now I can't score many points off of that. Everything was focused on red for me. Now, the other thing I didn't talk about is that we can, and this is a special thing that I've never actually pulled off, but seem to be going to do right now, is that if I have an anime that contains all script parts that match absolutely nothing out there, which means I would if I focused on greens and purples, because there are no greens and purples there, I can release what's called a cult release. And in the case that I release a cult release, I don't follow any trends. So I'm not going to get the 4 bonus, but it automatically counts as having 3 symbols matching the cult release card. So I can get the 3 times whatever. The problem is then I don't score for any of my bonuses. But it also does mean I get to release an anime, which means I do get to hit this. And I can still focus on this in a future turn, potentially, trying again to get those reds. I think that's what I have to do, which means I am still going to use this card, spending $2, 2 money, to take this, which lets me take an extra script. So I'm going to take Steampunk, and I'm going to slot them right in because I'm going to release right away. A complicated love triangle. And let's see. Fell in love with the wrong person. I need a journey of self-discovery and healing. A magical companion will help out. Or, yeah, let's do this. Steampunk Society. The plot is a complicated love triangle, and the twist is a prophecy was heavily misinterpreted. That sounds like a fun cult classic to me. Whoops, sorry, this art should be gone from last time. But using that card, in addition to allowing me to choose that 3rd card, it also means I get to take this one back into my hand. So my final action, I will take this, which will get me that 2 art back that I just got rid of. And then spending this does let me get 3 money. I still only have 4 cards. Even if I had done this action first, I would only have 5 staff. So I don't get the extra art, unfortunately. But now I make a choice. If I take this blue card, yeah, but then I have to spend 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 money. If I take him, I only spend 5 money. This blue card would get me 3 popularity per green, which would be great right now, but no, I need to do that. So I'm going here. I'm spending 2 money to recruit this red card. Using that staffing card, now I do get that merch that I was looking at before. That gets replaced with a background painter artist that says 2 popularity for purple, but also it says when I animate, if there's no art, I get a +1 art. But that's fine. Because that's Genki staff, I get 3 hype as well, like that. And we are done, which means we go into release phase. In the release phase, yeah, I don't score anything for purples or greens. This is going to be weak. So I got 3 times 2 is 6. I want to get to 10. Well, not really. 6 gets me 3 money and a point. 10 gets me 4 money and 2 points, but I'm going to have to spend 4 hype to get there. It's not worth it. I'm going to make a really weak cult classic. So Steampunk Society, Complicated Love Triangle, Prophecy was heavily misinterpreted. I'll put that there like that, which means I get 3 money, not great. I get 1 point, also not great. But now this also slots in here, and because of that, I've got 3 anime. Ah, no, I have 2 anime. And not the same genres. What was I thinking? That's horrible. 5 plus released of different genres. That's only 4. Grr. Yeah, that doesn't work at all. But I can't do the mecha either because that's not going to happen. Well, that's sad. Okay, well, there's nothing I can do about it. I don't qualify for any of these. Yeah, you're seeing me struggle pretty bad, but that's okay. Is it? Is it okay? We'll find out. But that's that. So then I get 9 salary. 3, 6, 9. Plus 2 points. 1, 2. So we are up to 10. But there's no way I'm scoring 19 in this next round. Well, we'll see what happens. Those go away. I need lots of red. All right, I have the ability then during upkeep to pay stuff, but let me slow down first. That's end of release phase. This goes away. Sliding down, flipping over. Triple purple, reality drama. These move like that. And then one more card. Our last one is a crowd pleaser. Says, if I get 20 plus popularity while also matching the active trend, which is what I'm aiming for, that's 2 stars plus 3. But this one's already 2 stars plus 3. And if I release anything, I automatically triggered that. So we're good. Upkeep phase, I already did the income. Pay debt cards. This is only an 8. I have to. 3, 6, 9, getting 1 back. And now I wish I had paid hype last time, but I have it for next time, which is fine. Then I only need to spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because of my cold-blooded producer. We paid that off. Whoops, that debt is gone. We're debt-free. So I need to score 19 points in the last round, which is gonna be pretty impossible, but we'll see what happens. That's 3, that's 5, is 8. I need 11 points. The only thing I can do is 10 here. I think that's it. I think we're 1 short. But no. No. I think we're 1 point short, but we'll see what happens. Okay. Yeah, because the most I can score is 10, plus 3 is 13, plus 5 is 18. I need 19 points. Grr. But anyway, let's finish the 4th round. I'm allowed to spend 2 to add 1 of each of those. I have to do that. So I'm going to switch that for 1. Wait, hold on though. Before I do that, I had 6. I'm backpedaling and I'm sorry about that. But I didn't need this money and I could have calculated all of that. So I'm going to say I spent those 4 to go to 10, which means I do have 1 more point, which means I do have 1 more dollar. And if that's cheating, I'm sorry. But I did just spend that money. So I do get 1 more each of these. Black, purple, come on, red, and black. Nothing. Great. All right. Well, let's reset for our 4th and final round. These get shuffled up. All right, let's see what happens. We turn over 1. Strategize. That's sad because I always go there, but I will anyway. We'll see what happens. Animate or outsource? I'd love to outsource, but I gotta animate. Last one. Staffing or networking? I'm gonna say networking. We do get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people this time. But I don't need to staff at all this time. No, I'm going there. I'm going there for sure. Because, whoops, I want that. Okay, because I'm gonna go here with red means I get 2 of these cards plus 3 hype. Because I do want to buy 1 more of those. And this we've got. Strategize says I can take 2 scripts or plus 1 art. And here, exchange program, return 3 from your storage to the common pool. Then gain the same amount of artwork. Wow, okay. That would be cool, and then that would be great. And right lets me take 3 art. But I don't have the things that I want. But I do have purple, and I don't need to do any more people stuff. Although having this one, if I can't find the reds that I need. No. All right, so we're gonna go to research. And I have no cards that work with research. Okay. So I get to reveal 3. Let's go 1 there, yay. 1 there. Oh, I'm perfect. Okay, and who cares? Let's just do 1 there for fun. And I get to take 2 because 1 plus 1 for my extra guy. And I will take Superhero World. Yeah, I'm gonna slot them right in because I need them right away. So it's a mecha. We're looking at superheroes. Either a scientist triggers an awful catastrophe or a failed experiment leads to a parallel universe. Let's say there was an awful catastrophe. That's what we need the mechs for. And the twist is bounty hunters are hot on their pursuit. Okay. So we've got a mech bounty hunter battle. But that's wonderful. No, I can't take 3. I can only take 2. Slow down. But I now have that card that says... where was that? Strategize gets me 2 scripts or an extra art. But having an extra art might be important. I do need to get 1 more script piece. But return up to 3 from your storage, then gain the same amount of... Wow, that's amazing. Okay, we're going to write. Because I get to reveal 1. I get to take 3, so I'm going to take this one and slot it there and take 2 more randomly. I don't care. They go into storage because I'm then going to use this card that says return up to 3 from your storage. So I'm going to return these 2 back to where I got them from to take 2 pieces of artwork. Yeah, that's amazing. Because I now have all of this, which means going there to take 2 artwork. 1, 2. The last guy I have goes here to strategize. I need to spend 2 because there's already 2 guys there. So I'm going to spend a hype and a coin. The action is free because I get plus 2 coins there. I get 2 leverage cards from that, which isn't going to matter because I'm not using any of those things. But I get to do something there. And I think I have to take the hype because I need to get 1 more of these. So 6 minus 0 is 6 hype, but I'm going to instantly spend 2 of them, so I'll take 2 hype and put that there like that. So I did take this. But also I'm spending this strategize that says gain 2 scripts or 1 art, so I will get 1 more art. Yeah, that's an amazing turn. We are now releasing Mecha Clash, Superhero World. The plot, a scientist triggers an awful catastrophe. With the twist, the bounty hunters are hot on our pursuit. That is red, blue, red, red, blue, red, all 3. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is already 15. Plus 4 is 19. 3 per red. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Then 2 more, 26, 27. Then 3 more, 28, 29, 30. Then 3 more for blue, 31, 32, 33. I also get 3 hype for my release. Like that. So we're already over 30. I don't have to do anything. That's 10 points. Puts me to 21 and 8 coins. 3, 6, 7, 8 coins. Plus, I get this merchandise deal here. And I have now released 3 anime. And I have at least 3 active merchandise deals. So I will score that for 2 plus 3 is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And just to show you how it works, because in a multiplayer game it matters, I would take one of my pieces from the board and cover that up so I couldn't get it again. But I can only score one of these per turn anyway. That's done. End of the 4th round, so it's not going to matter, but this would rotate, triggers the end of the game. We go into upkeep phase. I gain income, which is money. 10, 11, 12, like that. Plus 3 points. 1, 2, 3 points. Paying salaries. Well, paying debt, but I don't have any. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because of this guy. Easy peasy. 3, 4, 5. And yeah, that's the end of the 4th round. I have 29 points. I have no debt. I did backpedal once or twice in the video, but all because I'm rushing myself as I'm trying to talk about all of the things that I'm thinking about without forgetting any of the things that I need to forget. But I think aside from those backpedals, I didn't mess anything up too badly. If so, you will have seen it explained in the subtitles, but that is gameplay. So it's at this point I do like to take a look at the components. Pretty much everything you see is on screen, but a couple of things first. You've seen the red and purple animation studios, but we've also got the other 2 players are the Slice of Bread animation studio and the Moon Rose animation studio, which use these 2 different player tokens. Love the colors, love the characters. Gotta say, I love the way this game looks. I'm not going to show you absolutely everything because you've seen a whole lot of stuff, but there are super, super large numbers of cards in this game, and each of these different characters, different staff members is completely different. Really beautiful artwork, really cool sort of thematic characterization of the different types of people. You might have more and more full of caffeine. Different kinds of people you might have working in the sort of animation world. Love to see that. More importantly, and again, this was from Kickstarter, so I don't know what the retail version of this game will look like if, you know, it goes to regular retail, but I want to show you again all of these. These coins are super sparkly. It's just punchboard, but really nice gold foil sort of printing on them. But even more importantly, you've seen some of the different anime. These are also all embossed with sort of metal foils. And I just want to show you more of these because this is the best looking part of the game. We've got gore genetics, murder mystery, dark fantasy, period drama, witch school, space opera, cyber horror, gore fantasy, power fantasy, wonder quest, hard sci-fi, mystical journey, sports drama, and spirit school. These all look amazing. They're all drawn by famous anime artists. Really, really cool. I didn't show this to you either, but they've all got these little sort of blurbs about what the movie's about, or sorry, the anime. Nothing can go wrong once we start messing with our DNA, right? Right? Really, really cool theming. All of these different plots and different twists and settings, really cool. I'm not going to show them all off to you because discovering them is part of the fun, but here's a couple more plots. Inherited a powerful magic artifact but has no idea how to use it. An extraordinary business opportunity, but it's morally ambiguous. Anyway, everything in this game oozes theme. The iconography on everything in here is really, 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 really easy to follow, really, really easy to understand. Again, Kickstarter at least has these dual layer boards that all of these pieces and these tracks slot into. Really, really nicely done, well designed componentry. Visually beautiful, amazing, double, triple, quadruple thumbs up on the physicality and the visual design of this game. And I know this, I just want to point this out quickly here because I know the first game from this company used AI art and they got a lot of flack for it, and they've completely turned around and gone in the opposite direction, which is great. No more AI art, but not only no more AI art, they hired a variety of artists for this, spent a ton of time and effort and money on making this game look as amazingly as possible. Huge thumbs up from me on that. As far as the insert to the box goes, you've got what looks like this. You can see here I've got the dead inside staff. Over here I can fit all of the Genki staff. Now probably if you sleeve, you can fit both of those in these two wells because this stays fairly empty. This space here is where all of the theme cards go, as well as the player aid cards in there. All of these small cards means these opportunity cards, the debt cards, the networking cards all fit into this slot right here. And in this back, which is great, this whole piece just fits right in there. So when you come time to play, you can just pull it out and it's all set up for you, as long as you sort of remember to shuffle as you're putting things away. Really nice design here. This area here is just a big empty space for all of the wooden bits, and the coins in baggies can fit nicely in there. Nothing all that wonderfully special. That could have been maybe a little bit better, but not really. The player boards then all slot into this hole right here. There is a little bit of a cutout here, which I'm not quite sure what goes in there, because this is too big to fit there, and this way is not quite wide enough to fit there. This one kind of fits in here, but not flat. It's a little bit long. There is a little bit of an angled ledge there, so probably that's meant to go there, but I do kind of wonder, I might be not paying attention well enough, but something should fit in there, and I'm not quite sure what that is. But these, you'll see there's a little bit of a cutout here. Those fit across there like that. Yeah, pretty nice insert. Again, there are a couple of small things I don't understand like that, and this little cutout edge here, because there is nothing else big that fits in there. But yeah, in general, it's nice to have something that isn't just a trough, and just to have spaces to hold the cards, and this nice pull-out piece that has all of the script pieces in it. Big thumbs up from me on that. Could be a little bit more detailed, but not a bad insert by any means. It's basically all I have to say. Hold on, let me show you one more thing. These up close. These are acrylic tokens. Really, really nice tokens. Also, one more thing that doesn't matter in the solo mode, but I do want to show off because it's a cool piece. The first player marker is also this cool acrylic token of this sort of animator busy at work. And again, because it's acrylic, it's sort of double-sided, see-through, really nice piece as well for the first player marker. That's basically all I have to say about the components. Meet me back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. I do apologize for a couple of backpedals during that gameplay, but those are decisions I should have made better if I wasn't paying attention to explaining everything and getting everything on camera. And it did work out really, really closely at the end, so I was very happy to get that gameplay out there for all of you to see, just to see how this game plays out. And I'm going to come right up front for this one and just say, I love this game. I tend to be a big fan of worker placement games in general, and the theming of running an anime studio, especially with the visual impact of this game and the sort of thematic integration of this game, really, really pulled me into the world of this game and the mechanisms of this game. So let me sort of, aside from thematic touches, get into what it is about this game that I enjoy so much. So as a worker placement game, if you don't know, I'm sure most of you out there know if you're watching videos like this, that worker placement is you've got a set number of workers that you're placing out onto a board to trigger a variety of different actions. Well, in this game, those actions are what you're going to do, or what you're going to need to do in order to run this anime studio. The unique, well, not the unique, a unique twist on this is that each of your workers is sort of associated with a card that represents a specific type of worker, and the different types of workers are able to do different things, just like they would be in an actual anime studio. So your artist, of course, is going to be related to art, either making their own art or outsourcing artwork for other companies to earn income for themselves to help, again, generate income for you. Your writers are going to be generating scripts to make these different anime that you're producing. I'm sorry, I can't remember the other two. I think red is a producer. The producer is going to be doing things like hiring new staff and also networking to get sort of better opportunities for your company. And then the director, which are the purple cards in this game, are wild and can sort of do whatever needs to be done within the studio to help other things get done. So there are a variety of different actions on the board. It's sort of 2 actions each that are associated with the 3 blue, red, and green colors of those different workers. And then 1 space at the top that I'm blanking on the name of right now that does allow any worker to go there, that gives you a sort of 1 opportunity usage by spending a little bit of money to take some unique actions. But again, the core gameplay loop here is you're trying to put together script pieces. You're going to need 3 different pieces of a script, the sort of theme or setting of the anime, the main sort of plot or what's going on in the story, and then finally the twist that makes the sort of story change up, or the sort of the problem that they're trying to get through in the story. So in order to make an anime, you need to have 1 of each of these 3 different types. So your writers in this game are going to 2 different actions, and those 2 actions are basically the same action, except that what's going to change is each of those is going to allow you to see a number of new script pieces and then take a number of those sort of turned over or visible script pieces into your player board area. And you can hold up to 5 of those, but eventually you're going to choose from the ones you have 3 to build out an anime sort of production using 1 of each of those 3 types of script. So you're using those 2 actions to sort of churn through the available script pieces in order to place them into your anime. And the reason you're going to want to do that is because there are a variety of different genres: fantasy, sci-fi, horror, slice of life, and action. And different sort of trends are going to be happening throughout the game. There is a sort of cycling row of 3 cards: the current trend, the future trend, and the sort of fading trend, the one that's going away. And if you can match the types of genres in the script you're producing to 1 of these trends, and these trends are all going to be sort of mixes of genres to create a unique show. So for example, super fantasy might be some heavy, hard fantasy kind of thing, or maybe sci-fi horror might end up being some kind of cyberpunk or body horror kind of anime, and so on. And there are these trend cards, and each of those trend cards has a set of 3 genre icons, which might be the same or different from each other. And when you're producing an anime, ultimately, the more of those symbols you can match with the genres in the sort of script that you've put together with those 3 pieces, the more points you're going to score. In fact, it's going to be a multiplier of however many of those genres you match times the amount of artwork that you've managed to generate for that anime. So that brings us to the next spot. The artist has 2 spots it can go to. One of which is just a space that's called outsource that gets you 4 money. And potentially, I should point this out, each of these spots has an additional bonus that you can get when you place out a sort of Genki worker, an energetic worker. When you level up your workers or hire new workers into your staff, you're going to get bonuses. So the outsource action, in addition to getting money, also gets you sort of a potential merchandising deal. And I'll come back to what that merchandising means, but it's going to be very important. The other action the artist takes is simply to produce pieces of artwork. 1 piece of artwork if they're a dead inside staff, and 2 if they are one of these energetic Genki staff members. So you can only generate art once you've started building scripts. So if you have 1 script piece on your board, you can take 1 piece of art. If you have 2 script pieces, you can take 2 pieces of art. And if you have 3 script pieces, you can take 3, 4, 5, or 6 pieces of art. And I might be slightly off on that 2 and 3 script piece sort of level. But the point is, in order to get a lot of art, you need to have already slotted in those script pieces onto your board. So the timing of things is going to be quite important there as well. But then again, at the end of the round, you're going to have a chance to produce whatever it is, the anime that you're working on. And the base sort of popularity score, this is not going to be point score for sort of game points. This is going to be the sort of score for the production of that anime that then translates into points based on how good that anime was or how popular that was. So the popularity is what you're sort of scoring for that anime. And the popularity base score, again, is going to be based how many of those script pieces match the 3 genres in the trend that you were aiming for, multiplied then by the number of pieces of art you've generated for that anime. And of course, once you've produced that, all of the artwork that you produced is gone because that was that anime, and you will have to start over again for the next thing that you're looking to produce. But again, that is only the base score, because in addition to the base score, you can then add extra stuff to it. If you are the first person to produce an anime of that trend, you get an additional 4 popularity for having done so. And then as you start upgrading or training your Dead Inside staff into Genki or energetic staff, or start hiring new energetic staff, these new Genki staff members will potentially have logos in their corners of their cards that gives you additional popularity for specific types of genres. Either a flat point boost or a point boost that sort of multiplies by the number of script parts of that genre you have in the thing that you're producing. In addition to all of this, there is a resource in the game called Hype. And Hype can be spent on a one-to-one basis with both money and popularity. So when you are producing an anime, if you do happen to have Hype, you can spend that Hype at a rate of 1-to-1 to increase your popularity. And the reason you're going to do that is because the more popular the anime is, the better it's going to raise your reputation, and that reputation is ultimately the in-game sort of scoring points that you're hoping to raise by the end of the game to win the game. So you're trying to make the most popular, best anime you can, but there are sort of scoring thresholds. Any value will score you this amount. And then after you get past, say, 10, it will score you this much. And if you get past 15 popularity, it will score this much. And past 20 popularity, it scores this much, and so on. So you're trying to push the anime past these different scoring thresholds in order to get more reputation and also money from selling off that anime or from people sort of paying to see your anime along the way. And this is sort of the core engine of the game is get scripts, put the scripts together, get artwork, produce an anime, hoping that your staff sort of ties in well with that anime, hoping that your anime is meeting trends that exist in the market currently, and then also that you might be the first person to have done that and people aren't sort of tired of that trend already. But then there's quite a bit more going on top of that, and that is we've got the producer that's trying to run things behind the scenes, trying to hire new staff. And the new staff, in addition to getting you those bonuses at those spaces, is also going to be then getting you the bonuses on popularity scoring when you produce anime. But then many of these different staff members will also give you some kind of unique ability that triggers when something happens. Maybe when you're going to release anime, you get a free piece of artwork. Maybe when you are doing a writing action, you get some kind of boost. When you are doing this other kind of action, you get some kind of boost. Maybe at the end of every round, after you're done producing, whether you choose to produce an anime or not, you then also have to pay all of the staff that you have. All of the Dead Inside staff will cost 1 money. All of the Genki staff will cost 2 money. But for example, there is one Genki staff member that reduces the salary of all Genki staff to also only 1 money, so you can pay less money to your staff while also still getting that sort of high-level energetic work out of them. So there's a variety of different staff, and the staff, again, come in different colors that attribute them or associate them directly to specific actions that can be taken on the board. So you have to think about what color you're getting, what the abilities you're getting, which genres they're giving you bonuses for, meaning which genres are you working on and hoping those things work together, making sure that enough of those genres are available in the sort of available script piece pool that you're drafting from to build out these scripts, to then produce this anime, to then hope that you have enough artwork for that anime, to then hope that you have enough popularity for that anime so that you can then get reputation and money. But there's sort of a further step beyond that, and that is the merchandising, and that is something else that's called networking. First off, the merchandising. I mentioned before that at that one outsourcing space, you can get merchandising. There are a variety of other ways you can get merchandising, including trading for Hype to simply buy a merchandising deal. But then every time you produce an anime, or one of those extra actions I mentioned at that sort of colorless space that any worker can go to, is going to sort of be to sign this merchandising deal. So every time I produce an anime, I can, with that anime, sign a merchandising deal. So basically I'm selling merch for that show that I've created, and people are spending money, and this is going to be a way that I make more money. In fact, this is the way that I'm going to make recurring income, because these merchandising tokens will then get placed into sort of your income row. And as you place more and more of these merchandising deals down there, your round by round income will increase. So at the end of every round, if you have these merch deals, you're going to be getting both income, meaning monetary income, and potentially reputation boosts at the end of every round. So you really want to start doing that early so that you can get this recurring thing more often before the end of the game, because the end of the game is generally only 4 rounds long. So you don't have a whole lot of time to get the stuff done that you want to get done. And that also ties back into the staffing, because you can upgrade your dead inside workers to Genki workers, but you can also hire new staff. And when you hire new staff, you don't get the use of them right in the turn that you've hired them, but it does mean that in future turns, instead of having 4 workers, you'll have 5 or potentially 6 workers, so you're getting more stuff done in later rounds. The other spot I didn't talk about yet is the producer spot that goes to the networking action. And networking is simply a set of cards that you get, and each of these cards is attributed to one of the other actions, and it gives you some kind of bonus thing that when you take that action, you also get this thing. Or when you take this action, you don't have to pay for the cost of the action, and things like that. Because money in this game is going to be very tight, especially at the beginning of the game. And that's going to be a big thing into why this game is called Jisogi, this idea of a sort of bicycle company that's got to keep pedaling to keep moving. You're going to start with debt. Unless you play the sort of easier version that you don't. In the solo mode, you absolutely are going to start with debt, sometimes even more than one debt, and you're going to need to pay it off. But more than that, even if you don't start with debt, sometimes, many times, you're going to find yourself, for example, when you want to hire more staff or upgrade your staff, you need to pay for that. At the end of every round, you need to pay the salaries. So the more staff and the better staff you have, the more you're paying for. You're not going to have enough money. So you're going to take debt, and when you take debt, you get a debt card that gives you 7 money. Just free gives you 7 money. But then you immediately have a debt that's going to cost at least 8 money to pay back. So you're already negative $1 or negative 1 money in reverse debt, negative income, by taking that debt. But you really need to have that money, and you really want to do it now, and you're hoping that by taking this money that you can turn it into more money and then pay stuff back. Problem is, at the end of every round, before you pay your salary, you have the option to pay off debt. If you don't pay off debt, interest accrues. So that debt that now costs $8 to pay off, in the next round is going to cost $9, in the next round is going to cost $10, and in the next round is going to cost $11 if you haven't paid it off already. So you're trying your best to pay things off faster, but also understanding that you need the money to get things bigger so that you can start making more money, so that you can start paying for more of this debt. So it's a very interesting system, whereas a debt system for me is this sort of negative point system for me, because I say negative points, at the end of the game, if you didn't pay off debt, for every debt you didn't pay off is -3 points or -3 reputation. So you really do need to think about that, and that kind of negative system for me very often doesn't work, and I often don't enjoy it, but here I really do, because it really is a big part of the game, and it's kind of something you have to do. And this is something I had to understand in order to really start doing better at this game, is that debt is not a problem. You need to take a lot of debt in the beginning to get more workers, to get more stuff going, so that in later turns you get these giant turns, you get more merchandising deals, making more income, and then the money starts flowing much, much freer. And then it doesn't really matter so much that you have a little bit of debt from before, because now you got a ton of money and you can pay it off and you have no problems. The problem is, if you get too crazy with the debt, well, then you find yourself at the end of the game with a lot of debt that you can't pay off, even if you've expanded really big. And this balance becomes a really, really cool thing. But I kind of got distracted from these networking cards. These networking cards are extra powerful because it means that if you have these cards, when you take an action at the location associated with that card, you can play that card to make that action even more powerful and twist the rules of the game in some way. So all of this tied together makes for a really interesting game. It's not just worker placement. It's worker placement with this interesting money-based economy system where you're really trying to figure out, how can I lose money to make myself bigger, to then gain enough money to pay off all of the people that I took money from when I was losing money. Trying to build the right anime to match the right trends, to match the staff who's working for you so they're enjoying what they're doing and making better anime because it sort of resonates with who they are and what they like. Trying to find the right staff that gives you the right abilities, that ties in with this sort of tactical and strategic decisions you're making along the way. I actually just played a multiplayer game of this with a friend the other day, and he went super debt heavy. He had 4 or 5 debt cards, but he had a card that gave him 2 points, no, sorry, 2 money for each debt card he had at the end of every round. Plus he had another card that gave him 1 point every time he paid off a debt. Plus he had another card that may have been the same card as one of those that also made it so his debts didn't accrue interest. And he was just going all in on debt so that at the end of the game he could make a huge profit and pay off everything all at once. And it almost paid off for him, except I was doing really, really well with super low debt strategy, but getting lots of sort of specific staff that was scoring lots of points for specific genres, and then going super heavy in on those genres to make super popular anime because everything was sort of working so well together in my company as we were producing the anime. But there's one more big thing that I forgot to mention, and that's coming back to this idea of reputation. The game is going to end on reputation. And another final way you can earn reputation in this game is these opportunity cards. In addition to trends that you're trying to hit with your anime, you're also trying to hit different sort of milestones with your company, sort of producing 3 anime of the same genre, or producing 1 anime that's incredibly popular, or producing many different genres in all of your anime, making your sort of collection of shows very diverse, and so on. And this is on a track, and each of these different scoring conditions, when you produce an anime, you're allowed to score one of them if you meet the condition at that time of one of those cards. But those cards also rotate. That becomes sort of the timer for the game that's sort of tracking rounds. And depending on where that card is, there's also a bonus score on that slot that you score at the same time that you score that card. So in a multiplayer game, if you score that card with that bonus, only you get that bonus, and anybody else who scores that same card does not get that bonus. So it's an additional way to add reputation. I should also point out something interesting about this game is the endgame scoring is reputation, but they've capped the max score at 29 points. 29 reputation, because at some point your studio can't get any more reputable. They're just going to simply continue to make money. So at some point, at 29 points, if you get any points beyond that, all of those points turn into 3 money per point that you earn past that point, which means very often the end game score is not going to be based on the points, but it's actually going to be based on the money that you've earned past that max reputation if multiple people have maximum reputation. And that's also really cool because depending on the timing of that extra money you're generating from clearing that max reputation can also be money that gets funneled back in to pay off old debts before the end of the game. And I just love how all of these different things slot in together. The core mechanical loop of this is very simple. There's only 7 different actions to pick from on the board. But the way that everything layers together, the way that all of the different scoring possibilities for the popularity of anime fit together, the way that all of the different staff cards allow you to create these very widely different sort of patterns and trajectories and strategies through this design of anime, production of anime, running this anime studio, really makes for a fun experience. Now, let me talk about the solo. I'm going to apologize here because I haven't played as much of the solo mode as I'd like to, and I don't mean as many games as I'd like to. What I mean is something extra cool about the solo mode in this game is it comes with a variety of scenarios. I believe there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 8 scenarios in the box for solo. And the first 3 are sort of just variations on this sort of core game, right? You've got a sort of very simple tutorial mode. You've got a sort of low pressure, play this game until you kind of understand the game. And then you've got the high pressure version of that. And that high pressure version is what you just watched in the playthrough. That is just sort of the core game loop. Score max points, have no debt, that's your goal. Go and see what you can do. And that is sort of the core way to play the game, I think, because that is just sort of the basic multiplayer game played solo. And the way it works mostly is just you're playing to see how well you can do. Along the way, they change up the rules a little bit about how some of the cards refresh or about how you have access to things so that it doesn't punish you for not having a real opponent. But for the most part, it's just you playing against the game. And because of that, the remaining 5 scenarios all offer very unique, different twists on both setup and goals for the game. And now I haven't played beyond scenario 4, which is why I'm apologizing, because I can't speak too much on the other things except that they're there, and I think it's really cool that they're there. But for example, the 4th scenario is this sort of high debt story where your company starts off with a ton of debt. You start with 4 debt cards in that game. And you have to, by the end of the game, now only score 15 points, not 29, but you have to get rid of all of that debt. So you start off super, super, super in the red. And now it's not necessarily just about scoring points. Now it's really about finding all of the different ways you can find to get money. Merchandising really matters because you get a bunch of income. Finding ways to pay less for your staff so the money can be held onto and so on becomes the priority for that game. And then beyond that, each of the other games, and again, I apologize because I haven't had a chance to try those other scenarios, but offer, again, different takes on what you're starting with, how the game sort of changes from round to round, and then more importantly, what the end game goal is. And to have all of these different goals or sort of twists on this core gameplay for this solo mode really makes me happy as a solo gamer, because honestly, that high pressure scenario where I am just playing the game, looking to max my score and pay off all my debt is good enough. And then to have all of these unique twists of scenarios that I can also then go in and try makes me very, very happy. So again, I have to say I'm loving everything about this game. I'm excited to see if they can do one more expansion. I know that there is an expansion coming out for it, which I'm excited for, that does sort of take those network cards and turn them into another sort of market of cards that are, I think, talent cards. So things like voiceover and I don't know right off music and so on. So you're getting different kinds of staff that aren't your workers that give you extra abilities rather than just drawing random networking cards. I've also heard a small complaint, and I guess I can kind of agree with it, is that the market for staff cards where you're buying and training new staff from is a random deck of cards that does get turned over, which means sometimes your market is very heavily leaning towards sort of 1 or 2 colors of worker. And since it's important that only certain workers can go to certain places, that could be a problem if you're looking for a specific colored worker and they're not coming out of the deck. So it sounds to me like in the expansion, they're also going to tweak it so maybe there's like 1 of each color at all times or something along those lines to fix that up. Honestly, it doesn't bother me too much because having different things randomly come out in the market like that does mean that every time I play this, I have to think about different strategies and do the best with what I have. And that kind of turn-by-turn tactical decision space is what I tend to enjoy most in board games anyway. But I am loving this game. Big fan of worker placement to begin with. Huge fan of this theme, both mechanically and just story-wise. And then also on top of that, this economic loop of spending money, earning money, gaining money, taking debts to have money, to make bigger money, to pay off debts later. The way that staff gets powers, the way the networking cards tweak rules, and how all of these things interlock to sort of push you in different strategic and tactical directions every time I play. Huge thumbs up from me on this game. Big, big recommend both solo and multiplayer because I have played it both ways. Also, if you are a role player at all, they just released rules online of a completely different game you can play with the components in this box where you're basically role-playing an anime studio, doing sort of studio pitches for different anime ideas based on the script pieces in this game. I haven't had a chance to try it, but if you are into that kind of social conversation, sort of put out an idea and vote on it as a group kind of thing, there's rules for that for this as well now. Big, big, big fan of this game. Definitely, if this seems like something you'd be interested in, I strongly recommend checking it out. That's basically all I have to say about this one. As always, I do hope that this video was helpful for you. If it was, I please ask that you do remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.